The bone-chilling silence that greeted the rescue team on January 8, 2019, at the remote Whispering Pines cabin in the Colorado Rockies, spoke of a terror that would haunt investigators for 5 long years. Inside the cozy 2-bedroom retreat, the breakfast table was still set with 4-place settings. Steam no longer rising from cups of hot chocolate that had frozen solid in the 20-degree mountain air, while children's winter boots lay scattered by the door, as if their owners had simply vanished mid-step. Harold and Dorothy Klein, both 68, had brought their grandchildren, Emma, 9, and Lucas, 6, for what was supposed to be a magical week of sledding, hot cocoa, and storytelling by the fireplace during the Christmas holidays. But instead they had disappeared without a trace on the night of January 5th, leaving behind a scene so pristine and undisturbed that it defied all logical explanation. Where are you reading from? Share your city and country in the comments before we continue this story. The family's car sat in the driveway with a full tank of gas, their cell phones charged and lying on the kitchen counter, and all their winter coats hanging exactly where they had left them, suggesting that whatever had happened occurred so suddenly that none of them had time to prepare for the brutal mountain cold that would have killed them within hours. What investigators couldn't have known at the time was that 5 years later, in 2024, a construction crew would discover a hidden tunnel beneath the cabin's foundation that would finally reveal the horrifying truth about what had happened to the Klein family during those dark January nights, exposing a secret that had been buried beneath tons of mountain soil for half a decade. The mystery that was about to unfold would challenge everything investigators thought they knew about missing persons cases, and reveal a story of survival, desperation, and ultimately tragedy that would shock the rural Colorado community to its core, proving that sometimes the most unthinkable explanations are the ones closest to the truth. The initial search for the Klein family mobilized every available resource in Summit County, with sheriff's deputies, Colorado search and rescue teams, and FBI agents from Denver converging on the isolated mountain area where the Whispering Pines cabin sat nestled among towering evergreens and treacherous ravines. Detective Sarah Martinez, a 15-year veteran specialized in missing persons cases, coordinated the massive operation that deployed bloodhounds trained for cold weather tracking, helicopters equipped with thermal imaging cameras, and ground teams that methodically searched every trail, cave, and abandoned structure within a 20-mile radius of the cabin. The search revealed puzzling details that deepened the mystery. Fresh groceries in the refrigerator suggested the family had been preparing for several more days at the cabin. Children's games were laid out on the coffee table as if interrupted mid-play. And most mysteriously, the cabin's doors were found locked from the inside with no signs of forced entry or struggle anywhere in the pristine interior. Harold's daughter Jennifer, who lived in Denver and had planned to join them for the weekend, provided investigators with crucial timeline information. Her father had called her at 6:30 p.m. on January 5th to confirm dinner plans for the following day, and he had sounded relaxed and happy, mentioning that the grandchildren were excited about building a snowman the next morning. The temperature logs from the National Weather Service showed that the night of January 5th had been particularly brutal, with wind chill factors reaching 40°, and a sudden blizzard that had dumped 3 feet of snow in just 6 hours, conditions so severe that even experienced mountain residents avoided venturing outdoors. Search teams found no footprints leading away from the cabin, no disturbed snow patterns that would indicate the family had left on foot, and no evidence that anyone else had approached the property during the critical time period, leaving investigators to grapple with the impossible question of how 4 people could vanish from a locked cabin without leaving a single trace. The FBI brought in specialists from their behavioral analysis unit who examined the scene for signs of foul play, but their extensive investigation found no evidence of violence, kidnapping, or any other criminal activity that could explain the disappearance of an entire family from an isolated mountain retreat. As weeks turned into months, the case attracted national media attention, with true crime podcasters, documentary filmmakers, and amateur sleuths proposing theories ranging from alien abduction to witness protection programs. but none could adequately explain the physical evidence or lack thereof found at the cabin. The years following the Klein family disappearance were marked by Jennifer's relentless determination to find answers about what had happened to her father, stepmother, and beloved niece and nephew, transforming her from a suburban accountant into a tireless advocate for missing persons who refused to let their case fade into obscurity. She hired 3 different private investigators over the course of 5 years, each bringing fresh perspectives and advanced technology to re-examine the cabin and surrounding wilderness. But despite their expertise in cold cases and missing persons recovery, none could produce new evidence or viable leads about the family's fate. Jennifer organized annual memorial searches that brought together volunteers from across Colorado, creating a network of amateur investigators who scoured the mountains every summer when snowmelt revealed previously inaccessible areas, hoping to discover remains, clothing, or any artifact that might explain what had happened during those dark January days. The case inspired changes in search and rescue protocols for missing persons in remote mountain areas, with new requirements for GPS tracking devices in rental cabins and improved communication systems that could function during severe weather conditions, innovations that came too late to help the Klein family but might prevent similar tragedies. Jennifer became a regular presence at law enforcement conferences, sharing her family's story and advocating for better resources and coordination between agencies when families disappear in wilderness areas. Her passionate testimony helping to secure funding for new search technologies and training programs. The Whispering Pines cabin itself became a macabre tourist attraction, with the property owner eventually selling to a developer who planned to demolish the structure and build luxury condominiums, a decision that outraged Jennifer and other family members who felt the cabin should be preserved as a memorial to their loved ones. Local paranormal investigators claimed the cabin was haunted, reporting strange sounds, unexplained cold spots, and electronic equipment malfunctions during their overnight vigils. Stories that only added to the mystique and speculation surrounding the case but provided no real answers about the family's disappearance. The case was featured in numerous true crime documentaries, podcast series, and online forums where armchair detectives debated theories and analyzed every detail of the evidence. But despite the intense scrutiny and public interest, no breakthrough emerged that could explain how 4 people vanished without leaving a single clue. Jennifer maintained a blog and social media presence dedicated to keeping her family's memory alive and the case in the public eye, sharing updates on search efforts and appealing for anyone with information to come forward. Her unwavering hope serving as both an inspiration and a heartbreak for those who followed the story. On September 15, 2024, exactly 5 years and 8 months after the Klein family's disappearance, a construction crew working on the foundation for new luxury condominiums at the former Whispering Pines site made a discovery that would finally shatter the mystery and reveal the tragic truth about what had happened during those fateful January nights. Excavator operator Mike Thompson was digging the foundation when his machine broke through what appeared to be a concrete floor hidden 3 feet beneath the cabin's original foundation, revealing a hidden underground chamber that had been completely invisible to previous searchers and investigators. The chamber, approximately 12 feet by 8 feet, and accessible only through a concealed trapdoor that had been buried under decades of accumulated soil and debris, contained a sight that would haunt the construction crew for the rest of their lives. The remains of Harold, Dorothy, Emma, and Lucas Klein, along with evidence that they had survived in this underground space for several days after their disappearance. The hidden room appeared to be an old mining shelter or possibly a Prohibition-era hideout, complete with stone walls, wooden support beams, and primitive ventilation shafts that had long since become blocked by snow and debris, creating a death trap that had claimed 4 innocent lives. Personal belongings scattered throughout the chamber told the story of their final days. Children's drawings made with crayons on the stone walls, a journal written by Dorothy documenting their attempts to dig their way out, and empty food containers that showed they had rationed their supplies while desperately trying to survive in their underground prison. The most heartbreaking discovery was a series of letters that Harold had written to his daughter Jennifer, expressing his love and apologizing for not being able to get the family safely home. Letters that he had apparently hoped someone would eventually find and deliver to help bring closure to their loved ones. The chamber's entrance had been cleverly concealed beneath a section of the cabin's wooden flooring that appeared solid but could be lifted by someone who knew the secret, suggesting that Harold had discovered this hiding place and possibly used it during their stay, not realizing that the recent blizzard had blocked the ventilation system and made the chamber a death trap rather than a shelter. The forensic examination of the underground chamber and the Klein family's remains provided investigators with a detailed timeline of their final week and revealed the tragic sequence of events that had led to their deaths in the hidden space beneath the cabin. Coroner Dr. Patricia Williams determined that the family had died from a combination of hypothermia and carbon monoxide poisoning caused by inadequate ventilation, with evidence suggesting they had survived for at least 4 to 5 days after initially taking shelter in the chamber. Dorothy's journal, found clutched in her frozen hands, provided a heartbreaking day-by-day account of their ordeal. On January 5th, Harold had discovered the hidden chamber while exploring the cabin and thought it would be an exciting adventure to show the grandchildren the secret room, not realizing that snow and ice had blocked the ventilation shafts. The family had initially treated their time in the chamber as a fun exploration, with Emma and Lucas drawing pictures on the walls and Harold telling stories to keep them entertained. But as hours passed and the chamber grew colder, they realized they were trapped when the entrance mechanism became frozen and impossible to operate from inside. Dorothy's increasingly desperate journal entries described their attempts to break through the chamber walls with improvised tools, their rationing of the small amount of food and water Harold had brought down for their adventure, and their growing panic as they realized the ventilation system was not providing adequate fresh air. The children's drawings found on the walls showed their gradual decline from happy, colorful pictures of families and houses to darker, more chaotic scribbles, as hypothermia affected their mental state, providing a visual timeline of their deteriorating condition that brought investigators to tears. Harold's letters to Jennifer revealed his growing despair and self-blame for leading his family into what had become their tomb, but also his determination to keep everyone's spirits up and his hope that searchers would eventually find them, even as he must have realized their situation was becoming increasingly hopeless. The forensic evidence suggested that Harold and Dorothy had used their own body heat to try to keep Emma and Lucas warm during their final hours, positioning themselves around the children in a protective embrace that was preserved in their final resting positions when they were discovered 5 years later. The revelation of how the Klein family had died sent shockwaves through the close-knit mountain community and prompted a comprehensive investigation into the cabin's history and the origins of the hidden chamber that had claimed 4 lives. County records revealed that the Whispering Pines cabin had been built in 1952 on the site of an old mining claim, and researchers discovered that the underground chamber dated back to the 1890s, when it had served as a storage and shelter facility for gold miners working claims in the surrounding mountains. The chamber had been forgotten over the decades, as ownership of the property changed hands multiple times, with none of the recent owners aware of its existence beneath their cabin's foundation, creating a deadly trap that lay hidden for over a century before claiming its victims. Jennifer Klein, finally having answers about her family's fate after 5 years of searching, filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the cabin's rental company and previous owners, alleging that they had a responsibility to know about dangerous features on their property and to warn guests about potential hazards. The legal case revealed that similar hidden chambers and mining shafts existed throughout the Colorado Rockies, many of them unmarked and unknown to current property owners, creating ongoing safety hazards for hikers, campers, and tourists who might unknowingly encounter these historical remnants. The Colorado State Legislature responded to the Klein family tragedy by passing new laws requiring comprehensive geological surveys for all rental properties in former mining areas, with mandatory disclosure of any underground features, abandoned shafts, or historical structures that could pose risks to guests or visitors. The rental company reached a confidential settlement with the Klein family survivors, but Jennifer used her portion of the settlement to establish the Harold and Dorothy Klein Foundation for Wilderness Safety, dedicated to educating tourists about hidden dangers in mountain areas and funding improved search and rescue technologies. The discovery also led to a broader investigation of other missing persons cases in Colorado's mountain regions, with cold case investigators re-examining disappearances that might have involved similar hidden underground features that had gone undetected during initial searches. The Whispering Pines cabin was demolished as planned, but the site was transformed into a memorial park dedicated to the Klein family and other wilderness tragedy victims, with interpretive signs warning visitors about the hidden dangers that can exist in seemingly safe recreational areas. The case became a textbook example studied in criminology and search and rescue training programs, illustrating how historical features can create modern dangers and emphasizing the importance of thorough property surveys and comprehensive searches that consider all possibilities, even those that seem far-fetched or unlikely. The impact of the Klein family discovery extended far beyond Colorado, inspiring nationwide changes in vacation rental safety regulations and search protocols that would protect countless future travelers from similar hidden dangers lurking in remote properties. The Harold and Dorothy Klein Foundation, directed by Jennifer and other family survivors, became a leading advocate for wilderness safety education, developing comprehensive training programs for rental property owners, emergency responders, and tourists who visit remote mountainous areas where historical mining activity created ongoing hazards. The foundation worked with the National Park Service and state tourism boards to create detailed mapping projects that identified and documented abandoned mining sites, hidden chambers, and other underground features that could pose risks to unsuspecting visitors, creating publicly accessible databases that hikers and campers could consult before exploring unfamiliar areas. Advanced ground-penetrating radar technology was deployed at hundreds of recreational properties throughout the western United States, revealing dozens of previously unknown underground chambers, abandoned mine shafts, and other hidden features that were then properly secured or marked to prevent future accidents. Jennifer Klein became a nationally recognized expert on vacation rental safety, testifying before Congress about the need for federal regulations requiring disclosure of all known hazards at rental properties, and advocating for standardized safety inspections that would prevent other families from encountering deadly surprises during their vacations. The case inspired new search and rescue protocols that specifically considered the possibility of hidden underground spaces during missing persons investigations, with specialized equipment and training provided to emergency responders in areas with significant mining history or geological features that might conceal victims. Insurance companies began requiring comprehensive property surveys and hazard assessments for vacation rental properties in former mining areas, creating economic incentives for property owners to identify and address potential dangers before they could harm guests. The story of the Klein family was featured in safety education materials used by scout groups, outdoor recreation organizations, and travel companies, serving as a powerful reminder that even experienced outdoor enthusiasts can encounter unexpected dangers that require preparation, awareness, and respect for the hidden hazards that may exist in natural settings. Emma and Lucas Klein were posthumously honored with the establishment of children's wilderness safety programs in Colorado schools, teaching young people about outdoor safety, emergency preparedness, and the importance of telling adults immediately if they discover anything unusual or potentially dangerous during outdoor adventures. The memorial park at the former cabin site became a destination for wilderness safety training exercises, where search and rescue teams practiced techniques for locating victims in underground spaces, and emergency responders learned to recognize signs of hidden chambers or abandoned mining features that might not be immediately obvious during standard searches. 5 years after the discovery of the Klein family's remains, Their tragic story had become a catalyst for revolutionary improvements in wilderness safety and missing persons investigations that saved numerous lives and prevented countless other families from experiencing similar heartbreak. The ground-penetrating radar technology originally deployed to search for hidden chambers, like the one that claimed the Klein family, had been refined and expanded to become a standard tool used by search and rescue teams across North America, resulting in the successful location of dozens of missing persons who might otherwise never have been found. Jennifer Klein had remarried a former search and rescue coordinator she met through her foundation work, finding love again while continuing to honor her family's memory through advocacy work that had transformed from personal tragedy into a powerful force for positive change in outdoor recreation safety. The Klein Foundation had established safety education programs in all 50 states, training more than 10,000 property owners, emergency responders, and outdoor enthusiasts in hazard recognition and prevention techniques that directly prevented an estimated 200 accidents and disappearances that could have resulted in additional tragedies. The comprehensive database of underground hazards created in response to the Klein case had been expanded internationally, with similar mapping projects launched in former mining regions throughout Canada, Australia, and Europe, creating a global network of safety information that protected tourists and outdoor enthusiasts worldwide. Harold and Dorothy Klein's grandchildren had not died in vain, as the safety protocols and awareness campaigns inspired by their story had directly contributed to the successful rescue of over 50 missing persons who were found trapped in abandoned mines, hidden chambers, and other concealed spaces that might have claimed their lives without the improved search techniques developed after the Klein discovery. The case had fundamentally changed how law enforcement approached missing persons investigations in wilderness areas, with new protocols requiring consideration of historical land use, geological surveys, and underground features that previous generations of investigators might never have thought to examine. Emma and Lucas Klein's story continued to be told in schools across Colorado and beyond, inspiring a new generation of children to take wilderness safety seriously, while also teaching them to appreciate the hidden history that lay beneath their feet in many outdoor recreation areas. The former Whispering Pines cabin site had been transformed into a world-class training facility for search and rescue teams, where emergency responders from around the globe came to practice techniques for locating victims in underground spaces and to learn from the mistakes and discoveries that had emerged from the Klein family investigation. The foundation had also funded research into new technologies for detecting underground spaces, leading to the development of portable scanning devices that could be carried by hikers and campers to identify potential hazards before they became trapped in situations similar to the one that had claimed the Klein family. The memorial park included a visitor center that educated thousands of tourists annually about wilderness safety, mining history, and the importance of being prepared for unexpected dangers when exploring remote natural areas, ensuring that the Klein family story continued to protect and educate future generations of outdoor enthusiasts. A decade after the Klein family's disappearance, and 5 years since the discovery of their underground tomb, their legacy had grown into an international movement for wilderness safety that touched every aspect of outdoor recreation and missing persons investigations worldwide. The technology and techniques developed in response to their case had been adopted by search and rescue organizations across 6 continents, with the Klein Foundation's training programs and safety protocols being implemented in national park systems, wilderness areas, and outdoor recreation facilities from Alaska to New Zealand. Jennifer Klein had been honored by 3 different countries for her contributions to wilderness safety, receiving awards from the governments of Canada, Australia, and the United States for her work in developing international standards for vacation, rental safety, and missing persons, search protocols that had saved hundreds of lives. The Harold and Dorothy Klein Memorial Scholarship Program had funded the education of more than 500 students pursuing careers in emergency management, search and rescue, outdoor recreation safety, and related fields, ensuring that future professionals would be trained in the lessons learned from the Klein family tragedy. The case had inspired changes in building codes and property development regulations in dozens of states and provinces, with new requirements for geological surveys, underground hazard assessments, and mandatory disclosure of historical land use that could affect the safety of residents and visitors. Emma and Lucas Klein's names were inscribed on memorials in children's hospitals, schools, and community centers across Colorado, where their story continued to teach children about safety, preparedness, and the importance of telling trusted adults when they encountered anything unusual or potentially dangerous. The advanced scanning technology originally developed to search for hidden chambers had found applications in archaeology, disaster response, and urban planning, demonstrating how innovations inspired by tragedy could have far-reaching benefits for society beyond their original purpose. The Klein Foundation's educational materials had been translated into 15 languages and were used by outdoor recreation organizations, tourism boards, and safety agencies around the world, spreading awareness about hidden dangers and preventive measures to international audiences who might encounter similar hazards in their own regions. The case study of the Klein family investigation was taught in criminology programs, emergency management schools, and law enforcement academies as an example of how persistent advocacy by surviving family members could drive systemic changes that prevent future tragedies and improve outcomes for other victims. The memorial park and training facility at the former cabin site had become a pilgrimage destination for search and rescue professionals, surviving family members of missing persons cases, and outdoor safety advocates who came to honor the Klein family's memory while learning from their story and contributing to ongoing efforts to prevent similar tragedies. The comprehensive database of underground hazards that began with the search for the Klein family had grown into an international resource used by millions of hikers, campers, and outdoor enthusiasts who could check for potential dangers before exploring unfamiliar areas, creating a living memorial that continued to protect lives long after the Klein family's story had first captured public attention. Today, 15 years after Harold and Dorothy Klein took their grandchildren to a mountain cabin for what should have been a magical winter vacation, their story continues to save lives and protect families around the world through the comprehensive safety systems and awareness programs that emerged from the tragedy of their disappearance. The Whispering Pines Memorial Park stands as a testament to their memory, welcoming thousands of visitors each year who come to learn about wilderness safety, pay their respects to the Klein family, and participate in training programs that have become the international gold standard for search and rescue operations in areas with underground hazards. Jennifer Klein, now a grandmother herself, continues to lead the foundation that bears her family's name, working with a new generation of safety advocates and technology developers who build upon the innovations and protocols that were first developed to search for her missing loved ones in the Colorado wilderness. The ground-penetrating radar systems and underground detection technologies inspired by the Klein case have been deployed in disaster zones around the world, helping locate earthquake survivors trapped in collapsed buildings, finding victims of landslides and mining accidents, and identifying hidden dangers in recreational areas before they can claim additional lives. The Klein family's story has been permanently enshrined in the curricula of outdoor education programs, search and rescue training academies, and tourism safety courses around the world, ensuring that their experience continues to teach new generations about the hidden dangers that can lurk beneath even the most innocent-seeming vacation destinations. The safety protocols and inspection requirements that emerged from their case have prevented an estimated 1,000 accidents and disappearances over the past decade, with comprehensive hazard assessments now mandatory for vacation rentals in former mining areas throughout North America, Europe, and Australia. Emma and Lucas Klein's legacy lives on through the countless children who have learned wilderness safety in their honor, the families who have been reunited with missing loved ones found using Klein-inspired search techniques, and the property owners who have discovered and secured dangerous underground features before they could harm unsuspecting guests. The advanced search technologies developed in response to their disappearance continue to evolve and improve, with new applications being found regularly in fields ranging from archaeology to urban planning, demonstrating how the pursuit of answers for one missing family can drive innovations that benefit all of humanity. Harold and Dorothy Klein's final letters to their daughter, preserved in the Foundation's archives, serve as powerful reminders of the love that drives families to never give up searching for their missing members, and the importance of learning from tragedy to prevent future losses that could devastate other families. The secret tunnel that claimed 4 lives in a remote Colorado cabin ultimately revealed truths that went far beyond the Klein family's fate, exposing hidden dangers that threatened countless other families and inspiring a global movement for transparency, safety, and preparedness that continues to protect outdoor enthusiasts around the world. Their story proves that even the most heartbreaking tragedies can become sources of hope and protection when loving families refuse to let their losses be meaningless, transforming personal grief into public good that saves lives and brings closure to other families who face the nightmare of missing loved ones in the vast wilderness that both beckons and threatens those who seek adventure in its remote and beautiful spaces.